Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Aulia Fadhila with student number 19, 22, 30, and 44, and I'm from class 2D. And now I would like to deliver the presentation of journalism research to fulfill my final exam of speaking for academic purpose. And let's start with the title of the journal. The use of picture games to improve students' motivation in learning vocabulary. And this journal is made by M. Saiful Rizky U in 2013 from Prodi Pendidikan Bahasa Inggris, Program Pascasarjana Universitas Negeri Semarang, Indonesia. Now we will move to the background. Point number 1. The students felt difficulty in receiving lesson material, which is taught by a teacher because lack of vocabulary mastery, and the students' motivation were still low. And point number 2. Learning English, which monotonous and less interactive, makes students feel unable to master the English for the daily activity. And we are moved to the research question. Point number 1, what are the problems faced by the students in the classroom? Point number 2, how are picture games implemented in teaching vocabulary through picture games to the students in the classroom? Point number 3, how do picture games improve students' achievement in learning vocabulary? And the last is, how do picture games enhance motivation of students in learning vocabulary? And next is a research objective. This research is aimed to describe the problems faced by students in the classroom and also to describe the implementation of picture games in teaching vocabulary to the students in the classroom, and also to show the use of picture games to enhance students' motivation in learning vocabulary through media picture games in the classroom, and also to show how picture games can improve students' ability in vocabulary mastery. Now we are moved to the review of related literature. According to the Satyaningsih in her journal, in the third volume, in 2009, vocabulary is all the words that received by persons incidentally or intentionally through indirect exposure to words explicitly, instruction to specific word, and word learning strategy. And according to the Cameron 2001, vocabulary teaching is a continuous process where learners meet the words many times in their learning to increase and deepen their knowledge and their use of words in the foreign language. And the last is, according to the Mubarak 2012, in his journal stated that motivation is responsible people in decide or to do something, how long they are willing to sustain the activity, and how hard they are going to get it. Now we will move to the previous study from Harini 2000. In her thesis entitled Some Advantages of Using Flashcards in Teaching Vocabulary for Elementary School Students, stated that flashcards as one of the alternative visual aids to improve vocabulary mastery. And also from Sintayani in 2000, in her thesis entitled The Purposed Technique in Teaching Vocabulary to Young Learners Through Games, stated that game gives some contribution to the teaching learning process of vocabulary. And last, from Said in her article entitled The Effects of Using Games to Reinforce Vocabulary Learning, states that using games to practice vocabulary improves learners' ability to memorize the words effectively. Now we are moved to the method. The researchers used the qualitative method And for the research designed, the researcher do the action research by implementing the picture games in 3 cycle, and for the planning as the pre-cycle, and they are acting as the first cycle, and observation as the second cycle, and the last is reflecting or reflection as the third cycle. For the population, there are the students of SDN Rancawulu 1 Bulakamba Brebes, and the sample there are the students of 5th year of SDN Rancawulu 1 Bulakamba Brebes. And we are moved to the conclusion. The result of the study shows that the use of picture games in teaching vocabulary can solve the students' vocabulary problem. Before implementing the game pictures or the picture games, the students were difficult to understand of each word, and they felt bored, and also their motivation is weak because of the learning process didn't interest for them. And after by implementing the picture games in teaching vocabulary, the students are able to answer the question, and the increase of their motivation too. And for the result of the researchers' observation, in the first cycle, students' motivation were still low. Those were 54%, and in the second cycle are only 68.3%, and for the third cycle, there are 93%. It means that every cycle increased significantly. And this research also showed that students' achievement in learning vocabulary through picture games in the first cycle, the average was 54.2, and in the second cycle were 60, and the third cycle were 77.3. So the result of the study indicates that the use of picture games, the students felt happy, so that the motivation and students' achievement were improved. And we'll move to the last part of this presentation. Is a question from my lecturer, Miss Sinta. In your opinion, why is game able to affect students' motivation? In my opinion, picture games are helpful to affect their students, to affect the students' motivations, because it will make the students feel happy and enjoy the lesson. So with that kind of emotion would give an impact to their motivation too, and they would learn better and faster. So that's the end of my presentation. I think that's enough for me. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.